Greetings, welcome back. This is 3x5 Presents. Christopher, Mark, and Maury Batik back at you. I'm the 3, he's the 5. This is 3x5, and today we're talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 4.
Oh, Quattro.
Titled...
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
lost. Sorry.
Yep. I know what the last one was and the one before that, but this is why we take notes. This is why we're prepared.
Indeed.
Overview. Obviously, this series is on a roll now. I mean, the action is, closer together, less gaps. They're still developing characters. However, we're getting the action and, the plot's developing quicker.
It can't develop too much. There's only 2 episodes left.
I know, which is kind of crazy. Right. I'm just like, but I mean, okay, so we start the episode out with the flashback of Wakanda. It started in Wakanda,
which is dope.
Which I liked.
Wakanda outside of the movies. That's dope.
Right.
Right.
I don't know how they do that. It's like heavy ass rain.
Yes.
A big African rain.
Yes.
But, and you're seeing Bucky and Io. She's running through the words of the Hydra mind control joint they have on him to see if he's freed from it, and he's sweating bullets. He's
big bullets. Yeah.
But they don't work. The words don't work, and she says you're freed, which obviously keys us into the relationship that they have. She's the one that was there when he finally broke through.
Yeah, I like that they spent some time to film that and to show it, and it was a flashback, but it wasn't like a cheap flashback, where it's just a snippet, just enough to let you figure out, oh, this is who Bucky, worked with to get over the mind control. Like it was a good length, so it gave a chance for Sebastian Stan to do some really good acting. I enjoyed his acting in that scene. And like you said, to see their relationship, that, she was primarily, his caretaker during that period. I'd always thought that it was removed by Shuri through some technological stuff, and maybe it still was, and she was just there to oversee his recovery or whatever. But yeah, either way, it's good development. I liked it.
It was cool. It was a great way to start the episode.
Exactly.
Again, we've been so many places in this short series, which is to call it, because it's only 6 episodes. We've been all over the place. So now to add Wakanda to that list is pretty cool.
I do want to make a correction from last episode. I said they were in Latvia. They're not, or they are. Excuse me. They are in Latvia. But I thought that Latvia was Dr. Doom's country. It's not. It's Latveria. Correction there. So that's why no one's been talking about Fantastic Four but me, because I got it wrong.
We'll make sure to make note of that and dock your pay.
Find your ass.
And then this episode also showed a stark contrast, which we all kind of knew, but between Steve Rogers and John Walker. And that was a slow build throughout the entire episode, was why this guy is the scumbag that you don't want to have the super soldier serum, and why Steve Rogers was a perfect candidate for the super soldier serum.
I like how with the two bad guys, all right, Carly and I guess John Walker now. I like how
and Zemo's
defense walker. Exactly. Well played. Right. He's just freaking. Oh God. Quick aside. In last episode, when Zemo was in the club and doing his fist pumping, I really like that. Oh, yeah. There's a video on YouTube of him doing that for 10 hours. I watched 3 minutes of it. I'm ashamed of that, but it's okay. Anyway, I like the way the development of John Walker has been. You kind of knew he was going to be the baddie all along. They're obviously doing some things to make you purposely hate him, but at the same time, they're still giving him some depth in that you kind of understand where his motivation is from. When he mentioned that, he got his ass whooped and it wasn't even by super soldiers, and he's like, they weren't even super soldiers. When the Dora Milaje whooped his ass, he was like, they weren't even super soldiers. Right, and it's like, his ego was crushed. That might have been the tipping point, to be 100% honest, especially to be some black woman. is what it is.
Yeah, they laid into his pretty darn.
They tore him up.
I mean, and the fact that Falcon and Bucky were sitting there, like
they knew, and even when they stepped in, they were like, I'm just trying to squash it, man, just like,
dude. And then you know what something that else popped into my head, which is probably way too late in this whole MCU game for me to be figuring this out. But those neck rings that they have, and how they're always rolling their spears around on it.
Yes.
I mean, that's not like jewelry.
Right.
It's not accessory. It is a
tool. There you go.
Because they're always
right.
You know.
Hell yeah.
But
Good
they
point.
got into that fool. They could have deaded that bambo.
Tore him up. What is crazy is, and this is what I was thinking when I left the beads for Bucky last episode. I feel like they have a universal, they know where all vibranium is at all times. They have they can't control all vibranium, but they like, because just the way, I know they made the shield.
There's a connection.
Yeah, but the way they were meant, like they.
Shield and caught it.
She picked that joint up. Right. It's like I feel like they're sitting around playing with the shields at home, like, yeah, just in case we ever have to deal with this sucker, here's how we do it, because we can make one of our own and it's not a big deal, you know, like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That was a great scene, man, because they popped out of nowhere. And there's always like one that shows up and then the other two come marching.
Right. Just.
But and I'm. This episode was not all over the place, but it was so much going on. You had the Carly and the Flag Smashers. I mean, they about that life.
They about that life, I mean, and they gave her some nice development too. Her conversation, the fact that they let Sam kind of be the voice for her with some sanity behind it, so you can understand what her motivations are, which are good motivations, but. My particular opinion, to Sam's point, the way she's going about it, not exactly the best way to go about it. And I like that they laid that out implicitly and even doubled down on it by having her talk with her lieutenant, who was feeling the same way, you know, eventually got his ass, you know, shielded.
Yeah. Oh, Lord, yeah, we'll get that in a minute. But when Carly called Sam's sister, you know, I was like, oh, because she was like talking about the kids and everything. Yeah. Like, they've done their research, they've done their homework.
Yeah, I also knew that's when she had their that was crossing the line with Sam. That's crossing the line, period. Like I get her motivation, but to then threaten his family, like on the backside of that, that's not cool. Or that's not cool. Whatever your motivations are, there's no reason to do that.
They have lost, you know what I mean? They have been without, and, you know, once you've been in those shoes, you've been in those situations, and you realize that you're not valued, so why should you value anybody else? I'm not justifying it, but it definitely, once you're in that mode, you know, everything's fair game. Right. And to be honest with you, when you're flying around the world and saving people and locking people up, I mean, I think your family needs to be protected somehow, or their identities at the very least. But neither here nor there. And here's a small aside as well. You know, Sam has been, most of this series has been walking around as a civilian with just these. You know what I mean? I'm like, can my man get some nanotech?
I think they kind of spoke to that when he told Zemo that he wouldn't have taken the super serum. Like Sam is cut from a different mold. Like I feel like if World War II wasn't happening, Steve Rogers would have never taken the super serum. If there wasn't a bigger global thing, like Steve would have been like, all right, well, you don't need me, so I don't need to do this thing. You know what I mean? Like I'll just sit here and still be 120 pounds getting my ass whooped every afternoon. You know?
Yeah. And how about those Turkish delights? I thought that was a nice little
great touch. Great touch.
Homage, if you will. Yeah, I mean, you know. Anyway, I just liked how he just was kind of. Zemo was. I'm starting to like his.
I really like Zemo's character. He ain't started. I've been liking him since the last episode. Yeah.
He's so savvy.
Yes.
You know, he's been in that underworld. He is laser focused on no more super soldiers. Period.
Yep.
You know, which leads me to my next point of how the Flag Smashers walking around with 12 vials of super serum in a fanny.
That was as soon when they went and fetched them, and she didn't like take out one and put the rest back. I knew something bad was going to happen. When she just put them on her, and I'm like, the super serum's gone now. I'm like, I figured that's how John Walker was going to get it. I didn't, but yeah, I was like, all right, super soul's gone now.
Yeah, I'm just like, dude, you're walking around like these are, you know, some Bayer aspirin or something, or you know what I'm saying? And on top of that, they're not like super soldier forward, I'll say. You know, they're not like I'm enhanced and all my actions are, you know, instead of climbing up these stairs, let me just jump. You know
yeah. Touche. Well, maybe that could be part of it, because I didn't even think about that till just now. And they've been talking about the entire series that the super serum enhances you. So if you've got paranoia, it's going to enhance your paranoia. If you've got psychosis, it's going to enhance your psychosis. If you are just a model citizen, you will be an even more model citizen. So from that standpoint, you could argue that's what's, you know, got Carly making not the best decisions. You know, because you can even kind of hear her questioning herself, you know, when she was talking to the dude, you know, like, am I doing the right thing? And then she has to kind of, and that, you know, the funny thing is that's a duality between her and John Walker. They constantly have to talk themselves into doing a bad decision, you know, which lets you know they aren't at their core bad, but situations, circumstances, environment, all that has wrapped them up into a hot mess.
I think John Walker is a poster child for Zemo's argument. He's like, once you give somebody this stuff, they're on a, you know, and the fact that they said, well, what about Steve Rogers? Like, he's an exception to the rule.
Well, they even exactly,
which is foreshadowing to what's about to happen later in that
Yep.
episode.
Yep. Well, the crazy thing is that short conversation that Lamar and John Walker had about his 2 or 3 medals of honor or whatever. And they hinted that they weren't, you know, they were won under bad circumstances. When you win a Medal of Honor, usually multiple people have died. Usually the person who wins the Medal of Honor died, to be 100%. So to win 2 or 3 or how many the hell it is, multiple really bad things happen. And you know, if it's a situation where like he and Lamar were the only 2 people who survived, you know, some mass, you know, wipeout or something like that, then, you know, they were talking about how, I wish I had the super soldier serum. And so again, they're still giving you, like, they're trying to frame his motivations as not all evil, you know, which I think is a good counter to Zemo. And even Zemo has had a little bit of his doubts, you know, when he thought Sam was just immediately going to be like, yeah, hell yeah, I take that super serum. And he was surprised that Sam was like, no, and said no, like, quickly, you know, like, that surprised him.
Right. What is Lamar's little code name or whatever? It's
Battlestar.
Battlestar.
Yeah, Battlestar. Yeah.
Which is, I don't like calling him that because I always think of Battlestar Galactica.
Nice.
Like Battlestar.
Right. Right.
Can we change that? That was sure it's in the comics. So I
right.
it, but I just can't. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter because he's gone.
Right.
Brother wasn't gonna last.
Him and his arched eyebrows.
You know what I'm saying? Which obviously, you know. And back to the John Walker, you know, who I'm assuming is going to be like U.S. agent now or whatever. He's not. I don't think he's not going to be Captain America anymore after this incident.
Right. True.
But the more he comes in contact with super soldiers, the more he's motivated to get the serum. Obviously, even with the Dora Milaje, which I think is Milaje. Yeah. Which I always get my tongue twisted with Mary J. But to move along quickly so we can wrap this up. You know, once Lamar is dead, you know, by an accident, to be honest with you. I mean, it wasn't like it was a death blow that was kind of dealt to him. He just, you know, that's what happened. I mean, you guys are going into fighting with enhanced people. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? But of course, dude, you know, is tipped over the edge at that point. But at that point, he already had the serum. He took it. I think when him and Lamar had the conversation,
he'd already taken
about, he had already taken it. I think he had already taken it. And it's clear because, not clear, but I'm leaning more towards that way because, his next encounter, he was already doing stuff where you're like, my man jumped out the window. I was like, he knocked old dude down the stairs and jumped out the window. But
let's pause right there so we can move on and catch up with us on the second episode right quick. We'll be right back.
Okay, so where we left off was talking about John Walker, the serum, and him being pushed over the edge.
He probably took it.
Yeah,
he probably took it before that conversation with Bucky.
Clearly,
Or not
Bucky,
Bucky, Battlestar.
Kill somebody, which may be another more insight into how bad he's going to be. I'm like, dog, you're in broad daylight chasing a guy, and that's what you did? Like, it's 2021, homie. Everybody's got a phone. Now the world knows that, and okay, so earlier I was going to talk about, and I forgot my point, but there is an underlying message that we talked about last week dealing with Sam and the faults of the government, the faults of working for the government as an African American male, which he is becoming more and more aware that he's being used and he's undervalued. And John Walker's downfall, to me, is closely connected to how people of government, their perception of government, and how those perceptions and though the I guess the propaganda would have you believe that their intentions were good, but just like the GRC, you see that there's obviously no easy way to govern. There's no easy way to make decisions, but it turns out bad, and somebody has to lose, and Sam seems to be on the losing end as far as being undervalued, but he's starting to see that it's not just black and white when it comes to what he does or what he's committed his life to, and John Walker and his demise is clearly that. This guy is supposed to be a decorated veteran representing the United States government around the world, and he has just gone to he's just making bad decision after bad decision, but now he's the face of the government, out there. And what Bucky and Sam are so against is he's also representing the shield, which to them stands for, they keep saying it's so much more, it stands for so much more, and it is beyond government, which Steve Rogers himself had to come to grips with, is sometimes you got to go against the very institutions that, are fundamental to you, for what's right in your eyes. So all of these themes keep circling back, and so I think the them being at the opposite ends of that spectrum, or that continuum is kind of interesting and how it's all going to turn out.
I'm surprised that Sam hasn't brought up the fact that Steve gave up the shield. You know what I mean? Like when he felt that what the shield represented did not align with who he was anymore.
You think that's why he gave it up?
Deuces. Not giving it up at the end, but of Endgame, but giving it up when he went on the run for Civil War, like when he basically stopped being Captain America because he was labeled as a criminal, and was running around with the black Wakanda whatever thing, He didn't have a shield. Whoever had what's the name had to go get it, Sharon Carter. So he could have, arguably they took it from him, whatever. But point is, he was without his shield for a significant period of time, and was still a hero, was still doing his thing.
Well, he got rid of it. He lost it twice at the when he initially went against the Sokovia Accords, I think it was.
Right.
And then he got it back when Sharon went and got it. But then at the end of Civil War,
he gives it up again.
He lost it again, or it was taken again. When he went on, I forgot when he lost it that time, but once those guys were released from prison after Tony let him out, he didn't have the shield then. But I don't think he was in prison with Hawkeye and everybody, was he?
No, he remember he chilled out in Wakanda when everyone else was in jail.
Right.
He was chilling in Wakanda, grew his hair out, grew the beard out, and all that shit. Yeah, and had no shield, you know. And not only did he have no shield, you know, given that the Wakanda thingies he had in Infinity War, they could have made him a shield if he asked. That would. Hey, can y'all make me a shield? No problem. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was that you know, him distancing himself from that. I watched or read something that if you track his uniform throughout the phases, when he's first introduced, it's super patriotic. It's all red and blue and stars and stripes. As he moves further and further away from the government, the uniform gets more subdued, almost to a black and gray, where you can barely tell that there's any blue or red in it, and to the point where he's in Wakanda and he's in all black. You know what I mean? So like that was representing his journey as he, you know, ebbed and flowed.
To be honest with you, he put the old uniform back on in Endgame, and
yes, he did.
That was for his last
stand.
Yes,
he did.
You know, and then after that, he was like,
I'm done.
I'm going to, you know, I'm going to go hug all over my boo thing 50 years ago.
Yep. Full circled it. Full circled it.
So here we go, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. These last two episodes are going to be very interesting. A lot of stuff to pick out of, because just like WandaVision, they're setting up, you know, this thing is going to be setting up for future movies. I'm certain. And I think that Sam is going to be, as Captain America, is going to be potentially a key point in that, you know, focus of what's going to be for him next. And it may be just him developing into, just like Wanda became the Scarlet Witch, this is how Sam becomes Captain America, I'm guessing. With Bucky, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that one day maybe he'll be the White Wolf. Is that even in the comics?
I don't know. I never saw White Wolf or read anything about White Wolf in the comics. I told you in the comics, Bucky becomes Captain America for a hot second too.
Yeah, I do know that.
So, you know, there's that. I'll be honest. For a hot second, I thought Lamar was actually not dead, because while John Walker was shielding that dude, they cut to Lamar right quick. I like that word. They cut to Lamar right quick, and I was like, oh, they're going to do the old blinking eye twitching thing, because I think it would actually be even more powerful if Lamar was not dead.
Oh, yeah,
because then that means John really tripped, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't even have to do that, dude. He's not even dead. He might be hurt, he might be paralyzed or something, but he's not dead.
Which,
you know?
again, and the last thing I'll say is Steve Rogers had the shield above Tony when they were fighting, and chose to go for, you know,
the well-protected, armored thing that was going to not let him die. Exactly. Right.
And I'm assuming that dude bashed my man's chest in rather than his face or his neck.
Yeah, it didn't look like he decapitated him, but you know what? That's a good point. By doing the chest, that shows that's calling back to what Steve was doing with Tony, but obviously didn't kill him.
And respect for humanity. And his friend, no matter how bad things had gotten. I mean, dude, that's still my boy.
Right.
You know? So, there you have it, folks. 3x5 presents.
Yes, sir.
Christopher Mark, Maury Batik. I'm the 3. He's the 5. Pardon me. And this is Falcon and Winter Soldier discussion. We'll be back next week with another episode. You all take care. Until then, deuces.
Deuces.